Hey guys, it's RodimusPrimal. I am back with another video, and today I got the chance to sit down in a roundtable discussion with several other Transformers creators and websites and such. And we were in different groups, but we got an opportunity to sit down with Hasbro and talk about the stuff with Fan Fest and the future of the Transformers and where we might see some things coming down the pipeline. And there was a lot of exciting stuff, and I'm going to talk to you guys about my conversations with them, as well as what the other websites got to ask as well, because some of it actually is on the same wavelength in a lot of ways. Of course, I got a lot to talk about, so sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, becoming a channel member, or purchasing some merch on my Teespring store today. Okay, so to get things started, one of the questions had to do with the parallel between the War for Cybertron trilogy, the Kingdom line, as well as the Studio Series 86, and kind of how they've been very similar wavelengths, and yet kind of one is more geared towards the movie, and another is geared towards generations in general. And basically what they said is that they were trying to fit what characters matched the story that they were telling or the theme that they were telling within the War for Cybertron. And since it is the anniversary for the 1986 movie, they wanted to make it special to focus in on that. They don't want, with the Studio Series, to only be within the 5 Michael Bay films. They wanted it to also be with the Studio Series 86, and they also wanted to do things like the Bumblebee movie and any of the other Transformers movies. So that's kind of where the Studio Series stuff goes. So we are going to see more characters. I don't necessarily know which characters we're going to see, but they do kind of have an idea that more characters from the movie will also show up, which probably is may or may not be a good thing for those who are trying to collect the stuff in Kingdom, because a lot of us expressed about certain characters that we'd like to see in Studio Series 86 that may or may not be in Kingdom. Like I expressed Ultra Magnus. I know that I believe it was either TFW 2005 or Allspark. They had mentioned RC and Cyclonus. Now Cyclonus, I'm perfectly fine with that Kingdom figure. That Kingdom figure is great. Ultra Magnus and RC are definites on my list, in addition to characters like Wreck-Gar or Gnaw or Sweeps. And they also made mention that, we had talked about the Dinobots, and I would like to see more of the Dinobots be completed. We kind of got some leaks about a particular Triceratops Dinobot, aka Slag, who is now, has to be called Slug for whatever, for trademark reasons, which reminds me, they did bring up the trademark on the auto converting versus auto transforming. They have to use the converting word in their lingo in order to not muddy the waters for the trademark on Transformers as a name. It's kind of one of those weird things with U.S. copyright law that muddies the water. So if they just keep on saying it transforms into this or that, if they use the word convert into this or that, convert becomes a muddied word, and Transformers is something that they can keep as their trademark. At the same time, I don't know about you, I'm still going to be calling it transforming, and I hope that we don't start seeing Transformers cartoon series where Optimus Prime says Autobots convert and roll out. Like, if I hear that, just like, no, transform and roll out is the terminology that we probably are going to want to stick with. Now, another question that got brought up was the character of Windblade. And a lot of people wanted to see more of her. That was one of the questions. And I said, yeah, I would like to see a better Windblade action figure, because the Titans Return one, a little choppy. The original one that had come out, she's got weird heels. We would definitely like to see a better version of Windblade. And I'm sure a lot of us would like to see characters like Slipstream or Road Rage too. Another question that had come up did have to do with the beasts in the Kingdom line. Now, the fact that they are going into beasts is the idea of breaking the ceiling of just transforming into vehicles. They don't want to just have the Transformers transforming into vehicles. They want to be able to transform into other things. So the fact that they even took the step to transform into to Beast Wars also means we could see Transformers of different types of varieties. We might start seeing the object Transformers like we did back in G1, like we have with Soundwave being an 80s cassette player, or other everyday objects too, which also led the conversation to go towards talking about BotBots. Now, there is a BotBots animated series in development. They cannot talk about the animated series at all. They kind of were like, we kind of can't talk about that, which is understandable. But the fact that they are going with the BotBots stuff, they were making mention about the fact that I don't know who the individual was that brought the question up, but he said, hey, I can't find a certain wave of BotBots, and they were like, oh, we didn't know about that. And so I led the conversation to talk about the Coneheads and the Amazon distribution and the distribution of like all of the different box sets of figures that are all store exclusives and how we can't find them anywhere. And the marketing team was like, that's kind of interesting because you're not the first person to bring that up. I believe the folks at either Allspark or TFW or Sabertron or T-Formers, they brought up the fact that, hey, the Conehead Seekers, people in Canada ordered them, couldn't get them. People here in the US ordered them, had their orders canceled. They're not making their quotas as far as the distribution is concerned. And I even expressed the fact that, like, here, I live in the Jersey Shore, my local Walmarts, my local Targets, they don't have anything. You can't find them on the shelves. I go there and I find nothing but the same one-step changers, or the Build-A-Figure for Cyberverse and nothing else. And if I'm not collecting one of those, or if I already have it, I'm not going to buy it. And it gets shelf warm, but I can't find any of the stuff for Kingdom. I can't find any of the stuff for the Leader class, the Netflix stuff. Everyone's like, oh, I find it in droves. And then what ends up happening is that those same stores that get a large distribution, you end up going to Ollie's, and you end up finding Double Dealer and Optimus Prime for $20. I go to my local Ollie's, which is actually a half an hour away from me. I go to it, and it doesn't have anything. Because if our local stores didn't get it, our local Ollie's doesn't get it. So it's kind of like, what's the point, right? So it's the same distribution issues. The bigger box stuff, the 2-packs and the multi-packs that are store exclusives. It was a big point. And the fact that I was able to bring that to them at the same time, I wasn't the only one to bring it to them. It really opened their eyes to seeing, for Hasbro to see, hey, you guys got to get the product to us because it's just the demand is very high. That being said, the Ark, we did talk about the Ark and the fact that it's an awesome looking toy. And they kind of confirmed that it's not the last of the Titans. The Ark in and of itself is awesome looking. They jotted down on paper that we had talked about that Teletran 1 transforms into Mainframe. Could we see that Mainframe Teletran 1 sold separately, maybe as the Action Master colored Mainframe? That was just a point of discussion. And they were like, oh, well, that's kind of a good idea. So if there are any times that I'm going to be doing any of these type of Q&As, with Hasbro, next time I'm going to take future note that I'm going to ask you guys either on my Facebook page, on Twitter, or on a community post. So if you guys follow me there, I'll give you guys some, opportunity to ask me questions so that I can know to try and bring it to the table. I had questions written down and I didn't even get to all of them, but at least they gave me the opportunity. There is still some more, though. Okay, so this is directly from T-Formers with their round table discussion. So I'm at least able to, relay to you guys, that it was a bunch of us that we got to converse with Hasbro and kind of get a lot more answers. And they said, yeah, Hasbro wants to make more with the Titans. The last Autobots face was taken from the UK comic and other aspects of the G1 Marvel comics, and the robot and Teletran, of course. They can't comment on the Netflix or the Nickelodeon show. Lenny is a big fan of Beast Wars. It was kind of cool because they made mention of my name being RodimusPrimal, and I got to express to them where my name comes from is actually the fact that I was a Beast Wars fan at the time that I started joining the message boards, and on top of being a Rodimus Prime fan, that's kind of like where the merger of that. So they thought that was really cool, and I thought that was neat. So him being a Beast Wars fan, they hope to do more Beast characters, but they also want to do more G1 characters. I believe it was the folks at TFW who had expressed the fact that they want to do more G1 characters as well as Beast Wars characters. They want to break the ice for Generations as a whole, and that also means even maybe that Armada Optimus Prime. So they had asked them, like, what do you determine to be store exclusives? If it depends on the mainline products for the year, Hasbro wants to work with stores to promote certain brands. For example, the Buzzworthy series seems to appeal to all kinds of fans. Hasbro likes to offer exclusives to different fans to make micro collections. And what they mean by that is that the toys that they pick for a specific line or a wave usually have like a common theme, like you want to be able to make a certain battle scene out of. And that kind of goes with the fact that, like, we were talking about the fossilizers was like just a cool concept at first, and then they were just like, yeah, let's do it with make them bone. And then, you know, they ended up playing with them, and they were like, cool, we can kind of make a combiner out of it. And that was completely out of playing with the toy itself, and that was like completely by accident. You know, you're sitting there wondering, well, okay, well, does this combiner have a name? No, it doesn't have a name. It was just, we came up with it as a fan mode. You think about that you can come up with so many different customizations out of it. In fact, I have a custom that I am working on that I'm going to share with you guys from my Broken Earthrise Blue Streak figure. I am making a custom out of, and you'll get to see what that is when it's completed within the next week or two. Will there be more retro package releases? And the answer to that is yeah. They definitely like the idea of the retro packaging that they did with the Headmasters, and they're probably going to do more with other toys. So maybe we might see G1 colored, you know, redecos, like more G1 accurate versions of like the retro packaging. Maybe even we might see it with like the Beast Wars toys, or, you know, maybe that might be a good place for them to put Armada Optimus Prime if they don't have a place for him in the toy line. You know, will the trilogy model be the aesthetic as the scale continues with other generations lines? Hasbro wants to keep up with the athletic and scale, which means they like the scaling of the War for Cybertron trilogy, and they want to keep that scaling like throughout as they continue on. This was a big one, obviously, was the Canada. This was the thing that I was talking about with distribution, is that the distribution of toys just seems to be like very difficult for fans. And yet here they are addressing it and saying, hey, they're going to try and see what they can do as far as reruns. The one point they made was that there's still 19 more characters to go after the war, you know, doing the War for Cybertron trilogy. Can Hasbro commit to making all 28 original characters? Hasbro's aware of them, and the question is, how do they fit? Will they be part of the philosophy to make micro collections on shelves based on scenes and other things? It's a long game to do them all. And again, this was the same kind of question that we had asked, was the 86 and the Kingdom kind of being, what the way Lenny put it was that it's kind of like two universes happening at the same time, which also brings us to Shattered Glass. Shattered Glass was something that they thought was just a really cool idea, and they collaborated with IDW in order to do a comic book for it. And on top of that, they are going to do more Shattered Glass. So not just the Optimus and Ratchet, not just the Blur, you are going to see more Shattered Glass as time continues. And on top of that, you know, do you intend to complete teams when a team member, a figure is introduced? So they do Grimlock and they're doing Slag, we're going to see more Dinobots. We're going to see them complete the Dinobots. Hopefully they do the Insecticons. Hopefully they do the Combiners again. I would love for them to do the aerial bots and the Stunticons in a better format than they were in the Combiner Wars toy line. Maybe we might be able to see more of that. And, at the end of the day, I gotta say, the fact that Hasbro is reaching out to us and trying to get our feedback is a good thing. The things that, we can address as fans and say, hey, this is not working. We're not finding these toys. Maybe this toy has a problem with the paint, or this thing is breaking a lot easier. For us to be able to express those issues, as well as build our excitement for things to come, is a good thing. It means that Hasbro is listening to us, and that, again, is a good thing. But I want to know what you guys think about this Transformers news, about these roundtable discussions, and what do you expect to see out of the Transformers brand moving forward? Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I have many more Transformers videos and discussions and retrospectives coming down the pipeline, so stay tuned for all of that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.